No one in the royal family likes him. He's made a lot of enemies on the way up. I don't think anyone in the palace likes him.
It's a Shakespearean example of how hereditary privilege magnifies both honour and disgrace.
Andrew Windsor is spending his last weeks at Royal Lodge ranting to himself.
It's the loss of the privilege that goes along with a royal title. That's really the most significant one, is the loss of his home. So
pressure really mounting up on Prince Andrew, having already given up the use of his royal titles.
The royal family's worst nightmare just got darker. What started as damage control has spiraled into something far more serious. And according to palace insiders, they're now dealing with a situation that nobody saw coming. The man once known as Prince Andrew is reportedly under a form of royal watch, and the reasons why will shock you. Let me tell you about a conversation that happened behind closed palace doors last week. Senior royal advisors gathered for what should have been a routine meeting, but the atmosphere was anything but normal. The topic? How to handle what one source called the Andrew situation. Except this time, it wasn't about public relations or reputation management. This was about something much more personal and alarming. Royal expert Elisa Anderson dropped a bombshell when she revealed the palace's current strategy. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. But here's what makes that statement truly chilling. She admitted that even the worst-case scenarios they'd prepared for weren't nearly bad enough. The reality has exceeded their darkest expectations. The transformation of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from prince to pariah didn't happen overnight. But the speed of his fall has been breathtaking. His connections to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell created a scandal that rocked the monarchy to its core. When Virginia Giuffre came forward with her allegations that she was trafficked to him when she was just 17, the palace initially tried to manage the crisis. Andrew's disastrous interview attempt to clear his name only made things worse, revealing an arrogance that stunned even his supporters. The consequences were swift and brutal. King Charles stripped his brother of all military titles and royal patronages. The use of His Royal Highness in any official capacity was banned. Andrew became, as one commentator put it, the artist formerly known as Prince Andrew. A cutting reference that captures just how complete his fall from grace has been. But what's happening now goes beyond public humiliation. Sources close to the situation paint a disturbing picture of a man in serious decline. The Andrew who once strutted through royal events with confidence is gone. In his place is someone described as a shadow of the royal he once was, both physically and psychologically.
All of this has been extremely damaging for the royal family. It's described Prince Andrew as a distraction.
Prince Andrew never really leaves the news, but there's been a sort of tsunami of coverage over the last couple of weeks.
There is a no-holds-barred, warts-and-all tell-all story waiting to be shared with the world.
he's basically thrown out and banished to the countryside where he will live in Norfolk.
He's entitled to do what he wants, and maybe there's some plausible explanation.
The details emerging from palace sources are deeply concerning. Andrew is reportedly spending most of his days indoors, following no real routine, watching television for hours on end. He's described as physically withdrawn and increasingly isolated from any semblance of normal life. One insider claimed his condition has deteriorated rapidly in recent months, with the continued release of Epstein-related documents from the United States taking a severe toll on his mental state. This isn't just about embarrassment anymore. The palace is genuinely worried about leaving him alone for extended periods. Think about that for a moment. This is a member of the British royal family effectively under suicide watch, though nobody would ever use those words officially. The concern is real enough that measures have been put in place to ensure he's checked on regularly. Simon Weiger, another royal expert, revealed something that explains why the palace is so worried. The chances of it only being that one photo of Virginia Giuffre and Andrew taken in London were minute, he said. The implication is clear. There's more out there, and everyone knows it. Weiger went further, suggesting that Epstein's properties were rigged up for recording, and that videos may eventually surface. The locations mentioned in connection with Epstein and Maxwell make the situation even more explosive. It's not just about meetings in New York or on private islands. We're talking about Balmoral, the Queen's beloved Scottish retreat. We're talking about private lodges on royal estates. Most shockingly, Weiger claims there were photos taken in the throne room at Buckingham Palace itself. Epstein and Maxwell allegedly photographed in one of the monarchy's most sacred spaces. The throne room revelation is particularly damaging. This isn't just any room. It's where the monarch receives dignitaries, where state occasions are held, where the very essence of royal authority is displayed. The idea that Epstein had access to this space, that he was comfortable enough to take photos there, suggests a level of integration into royal life that goes far beyond what the public previously understood. Virginia Giuffre's account of meeting Andrew adds another layer of horror to the story. She described being told she was meeting a prince, going shopping, then to a nightclub where Andrew danced with her. Her description is visceral and uncomfortable. She called him a horrific dancer who sweats a lot and smells funny. These details, whether completely accurate or not, paint a picture that's impossible to forget. But it was what happened next that truly matters. Giuffre says that in the car afterward, with Andrew following in a separate vehicle, Ghislaine Maxwell told her she had to do for Prince Andrew what she did for Jeffrey Epstein. The implications are clear and devastating. This wasn't a chance encounter or a misunderstanding. According to Giuffre, this was trafficking, plain and simple.
Well, you reveal in your book that Andrew actually chose Virginia from a series of photos that Ghislaine Maxwell had sent him.
I've got to say the King and Queen may be in Rome, but they just can't escape the ongoing scandals surrounding Prince Andrew, can they?
The affairs of the royal family tells you that we are living in quite bizarre time.
So, I mean, this is a much bigger problem than I think people have realised.
To be simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with no letters after his name, no styles before his name, and to lose those military connections as well will really sting.
Andrew's response to these allegations has been consistently inadequate. His claim to have no recollection of meeting Giuffre, despite photographic evidence, struck many as insulting. His bizarre claims about being unable to sweat due to a medical condition from the Falklands War became a subject of ridicule. Every attempt to defend himself only seemed to dig the hole deeper. The palace's response has evolved from damage control to complete separation. By October and November of last year, King Charles and Prince William had reportedly made the decision to act ruthlessly in effectively banishing Andrew from the family firm. This wasn't a gentle retirement or a gradual stepping back. It was a decisive cut. The timing of this decision is significant. It came before the latest wave of Epstein documents was released, suggesting the palace knew more was coming. They weren't just reacting to what had already emerged. They were preparing for what they knew or suspected would follow. This proactive approach shows just how seriously they took the threat Andrew posed to the institution. Public reaction has been unforgiving. King Charles has been heckled at public events, with people demanding to know what he knew about his brother's relationship with Epstein and whether there had been any attempt to cover it up. The monarchy, which depends on public support for its survival, cannot afford to be seen as protecting Andrew. The current situation represents a new low. Andrew isn't just dealing with public disgrace. He's facing what sources describe as a complete psychological unraveling. The man who once enjoyed all the privileges of royal birth now finds himself isolated, monitored, and waiting for the next revelation to drop. The phrase drip-fed out of Washington, D.C. captures the torture of his current existence. This isn't one scandal that will eventually blow over. It's a continuous stream of revelations, each one potentially more damaging than the last. Every document release, every unsealed file, every piece of evidence that emerges from the various legal proceedings in the United States represents another blow. For the royal family, the challenge is no longer about rehabilitation or eventual return to public life. Those possibilities are gone forever. Now it's about containment and, frankly, keeping Andrew from completely falling apart in a way that could create even more problems for the institution. The isolation Andrew feels is compounded by resentment. He reportedly feels abandoned by the family he served, cut off not just from public duties, but from the private connections that once defined his life. This toxic combination of shame, fear, and anger creates a volatile situation that the palace is struggling to manage. What makes this particularly challenging is that there's no clear endpoint in sight. Unlike other royal scandals that eventually fade from memory, the Epstein case continues to generate new revelations. Files are still being unsealed. Investigations continue. Victims continue to come forward. Each development resets the clock on Andrew's disgrace. The monarchy has survived many scandals over the centuries, but this one is different. It's not about personal indiscretions or marital problems. It's about alleged involvement in serious crimes against minors. It's about judgment so catastrophically bad that it calls into question the entire system that produced and protected someone capable of such associations. For Andrew himself, the future looks impossibly bleak. Stripped of titles, abandoned by family, monitored like a potential risk, he faces the prospect of spending his remaining years as a cautionary tale about privilege without accountability. The man who once walked with kings now can barely leave his home. The question that haunts the palace is simple but terrifying. What else is out there? What other photos, videos, or documents might emerge? What other victims might come forward? What other connections might be revealed? Every day without a new revelation is just a pause before the next storm. This story is far from over. As more material emerges from the United States, as investigations continue, as the full scope of Epstein's network is gradually exposed, Andrew's situation may well deteriorate further. The palace can plan for the worst, but as recent events have shown, their imagination might not be dark enough to encompass what's actually coming. The royal family's strategy now seems to be one of complete separation, protecting the institution by cutting Andrew off entirely. But even this may not be enough if more damaging material emerges, particularly anything involving other members of the royal family or royal properties. What we're witnessing is the complete destruction of a royal life, played out in slow motion for the world to see. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, once His Royal Highness the Duke of York, is now just another disgraced figure waiting for the next shoe to drop, monitored by worried relatives who fear what he might do if left alone with his thoughts for too long. The monarchy will likely survive this scandal, as it has survived others. But Andrew won't emerge from this intact. He's already broken, according to those who know the situation. The only question now is how much more damage will be done before this dark chapter finally closes. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.